Mitch McConnell's offer of $500 billion of a stimulus deal is likely to become the law, says Wall Street in breaking developments this week. They think Nancy Pelosi's $2.2 trillion deal will never ever actually happen, and they think that it's unwarranted. And there's new economic data released just today that says several parts of the economy, like new home starts and others, are actually making states a fortune in state revenue. So the claim that cities and states are going bankrupt for Nancy Pelosi is not only untrue, but categorically false. States are making fortunes during this pandemic, and they actually don't need relief from the federal government, let alone 3 years of grants. So Mitch McConnell's offer of stimulus checks, hazard pay potentially, extension of FPUC and UI that he's going to make in the next few days, according to Steve Mnuchin, and has made before, is actually what will become law. These are the breaking developments. It's all really good news, and this is Being a Mitch. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Being a Mitch with breaking developments on what would be in the second stimulus package, how quickly it's coming, and why suddenly Wall Street thinks that Nancy Pelosi's numbers are ridiculous. And ironically, these are the numbers that Joe Biden supports and that Janet Yellen has yet to comment about. A lot of big developments, but as you know, on this channel, I'm getting people money right now, not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, and not 5 months from now. And now, ultimately, anything I tell you about with Mitch McConnell does not mean a stimulus check is going to land in your bank account today or tomorrow. It may land shortly thereafter, but I want to get you money right now. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and I'm working to get people money every single day this week, and I'm not stopping, and I'm adding additional recordings to ensure you get money for rent, utilities, food. I'm working around the clock. This is money that you qualify for, and I want to ensure that you get this money. It's thousands of dollars. It's your money, so please subscribe to this channel. And I also have a wonderful group of half a dozen volunteers who are helping you as well if you're having problems with the search. Boy, so please subscribe. Also, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm by liking the video. In this video, I'll be going over what Wall Street is really saying about the second stimulus package, what Mitch McConnell, Steve Mnuchin is saying about the second stimulus package, how quickly it would come, are you getting a stimulus check during the holidays, the number one question I get every single minute, and what would be in the second stimulus package, and why is this new housings number sort of throwing Nancy Pelosi to the street? Boy. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that Nancy Pelosi's claim that the entire U.S. economy needs to be held up because of a bailout of state and local is no longer true, says Wall Street. Ironically, Wall Street was the biggest donor to the Joe Biden campaign, and now Wall Street's saying that Nancy Pelosi's claim that that cities and states are not making money during this pandemic and are having problems making payroll and budget constraints is simply untrue. A new report out today shows that certain parts of the economy are making hand over fist. They're making nearly double the amount of money that they made last year, and all that money by revenue purposes is going to the states. The number that came out today, for example, was new housing starts. This is when you build a new construction, when a housing developer comes into an area and builds 800 new houses. When he builds those houses and then sells every house for $80,000 or $90,000, all that's tax revenue that goes to the city and the state and the county. That's all money that the government is making on revenue. Well, the claim that the states are going bankrupt is just like laughable at this point, because the number of new housing starts in the New England states up 85% year to date. In the Southern in the West Coast, it's up 30%, and basically across the board, the number is going through the roof. Now, certainly, like for example, in Los Angeles County, restaurants are shutting down tonight for only takeout for 3 weeks, and certainly restaurants are a part of an economy, but the other parts of the economy that certainly don't concern you and me, like housing builders, are making fortunes and giving fortunes of revenue to the states. They're not going bankrupt. So the claims that Nancy Pelosi needs $2.2 trillion because she needs to bail out state and local is no longer true. And Wall Street doesn't believe it, and they're saying it in loud and vocal statements in the last 24 hours. So what are they also saying? They're saying that the second stimulus package will mirror that of Mitch McConnell's offer. And that's really what this economy needs. It needs stimulus checks. It needs FPUC, PUA, and UI, hazard pay, and PPP, and some EIDL. And that's basically what it needs. It doesn't need anything else. And what's important about this is that Steve Mnuchin, in less than 24 hours, well, I think it was 48 hours ago, said that he, Mark Meadows, and Mitch McConnell will be working on a Republican proposal that's narrowly tailored that will be presented to the Democrats in the coming days, and that will be the final offer to get this done during the holiday season. Now, what's important to understand is two things. One, he said the next few days. I don't know why this keeps on taking so long. It's just like, come next few hours is sufficient. Why are we doing next few days? Second, the important thing to understand is that Steve Mnuchin has said things before and that ultimately they've never happened. I got that from viewers. And then third, the important thing to understand is that, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is that Steve Mnuchin is basically setting up the handing off to Mitch McConnell for the negotiations. As you know, the second stimulus negotiations through all of July and May, all the way up to just a few weeks ago, was Steve Mnuchin, number one, Mark Meadows, number two. They're on the exit, and Mitch McConnell is your new negotiator for the Republicans come this January. And so what Steve Mnuchin, out of respect to Mitch McConnell, is basically setting up the Republican position, which will be Mitch McConnell's position, coming into the coming days, and is basically saying, hey, it's Mitch McConnell's position. That's what I'm doing. To recap, Steve Mnuchin's offer of $1.9 trillion, gone. Never going to see it again. $1.5 trillion from the problem solvers, never going to see that. And you're never going to see an offer of $1.5 trillion from the Republicans ever again. So Nancy Pelosi basically shot herself in the foot. She rejected a $1.9 trillion offer because it was only $150 billion off from her number. I mean, it was this close away from what she wanted. She rejected it because she didn't like the language. She didn't like the preposition. She didn't like the punctuation. She didn't like the grammar. I'm not being joking. That's literally what she did. And now that's gone. And she's being stuck with this type of a stimulus offer, $500 billion, and that's all she's going to get. Wall Street in new statement says that stimulus needs to go out and stimulus should be done, and that stimulus should be Mitch McConnell's offer. They're basically saying, this is what you're going to get. And they're making it very clear that they don't think that you'll ever see Nancy Pelosi's $2.2 trillion requirement or request ever see the light of day. Now, here's my opinion of the situation. There is one possibility in which you'll see it, and you know what it is. The two Georgia seats both go Democratic. Remember, they have to both go Democratic in January 5th. I don't think they're both going to go Democratic, but you never know. If they both go Democratic, then it won't be a $2.2 trillion stimulus bill. It'll be a $55 trillion stimulus bill. But if both those seats don't go Democratic, it's just never going to happen. Now, here's the rub. This is what Wall Street's saying, and I agree 100% with it. Is Wall Street saying, you know what? You need stimulus right now. It's November. You can't keep on doing this. And they're using Los Angeles as the new example, and it's a little annoying, but, they are doing it. They're saying Los Angeles is going on a lockdown. Los Angeles lockdown, Los Angeles. Millions of Americans are going to lose their jobs. They're on lockdown. Well, no, it's just the restaurants going on lockdown. But I got the point, what you're saying so far. And they're saying we need stimulus right now. Well, we need stimulus because we need stimulus before the restaurants went on lockdown. That's what's making me pissed off about the situation. It's like, just because the restaurants shut down, suddenly we need stimulus. We need stimulus weeks ago. So don't use that fake narrative broadcast news, but I appreciate the reference. And what they're now saying is, hey, you need $500 billion. That would cut it. What are you holding up for $2.2 trillion? We don't need $2.2 trillion to fix it. $500 billion would be stimulus checks, would be hazard pay, would be FPUC, would be PUA, would be UI, would be PPP, would be EIDL. That's enough. And if you need some more, do it in January. And they're also saying state and local doesn't need a bailout. What's important to understand is Mitch McConnell wants you to have certain things, and he doesn't want to spend money on them. Now, just, I'm about to say, now he has to spend money on them, just almost. Remember what I said in the 2 videos right before this? Yes, Steve Mnuchin has taken that extra money from the Federal Reserve. That was for the Main Street Lending Program, a program that had nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you whatsoever. And has now put it back in the Federal Reserve, in the Treasury. It's now locked up. Can't use it. Can't repurpose it. Repurposing is gone. That other money that's coming back from state and local, that's the grants, that's the rent utilities, the money I'm getting you, the $10,000 every day, that's coming back in mid-December. SBA, I believe the EIDL is coming back in a few weeks. That's why I'm rushing you to get EIDL right now. I'm being very clear. Get that EIDL and get the money for EIDL right now. I don't mean just approved. I mean get the money for EIDL, because EIDL is going to close up. Everything's going to eventually close up and be put back into Treasury, and no extra money will be sitting around from CARES Act 1 anywhere. You're hearing from me this at the 10-minute mark of this video, and I'm making this very clear, and you can play this back in a few weeks, because this is going to happen. All the CARES Act 1 money from anywhere is going to be gone and back inside of Treasury, locked up. The entry will be made. It will be debited and credited. It will be there. And Steve Mnuchin will say, thank you for your time, and have a beautiful year life. And he'll be gone. And that will be it. And then they got to start from scratch. And they're going to come knocking on Mitch McConnell's door, say, hey, Mitch, want to do a $2.2 trillion bill? Are you kidding me? I'm not doing a $2.2 trillion bill. No, I'm not doing it. I'll do a $500 billion, $500 trillion narrowly tailored bill. But no, I'm not doing it. And that will be what Wall Street will say, is I do the $500 trillion bill. So are you getting stimulus checks? Yes. Are you getting an extension of UI? Yes. Are you getting an extension of PUA? Yes. Are you getting an extension of FPUC? Yes. Is it going to be retroactive? Hard to say. These people don't like the word retroactive. They act like they do, and they want to do retroactive a few days. I'll go retroactive to last week. That doesn't cut it. Will there be hazard pay? If we're at a $500 trillion bill, it's not going to be $10,000 hazard pay, in my opinion. It'll be hazard pay, but not that big. Will there be a $50,000 grant? No. Will there be a $10,000 grant? Possibly. Will there be $2,400 for SSI and SSDI and Social Security and Railroad benefits? Oh boy! If Joe Biden is smart, which he is, he's not going to put it into the stimulus package, because it's going to get butchered. He'll keep it separate, because Republicans and Democrats want to give Social Security and disability benefits to Americans, and has really almost nothing to do with the pandemic. They just want to do it, and it's not a partisan issue. It's a bipartisan issue. So he'll hopefully keep the $2,400 SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and Railroad benefit, and the 20% step up, and the annual increase based upon new benchmark as a separate thing. Don't do it in the stimulus package. Joe, if you're watching, don't put it in the stimulus package. I'm just telling you, I'm just warning you, it's going to get hacked to death. And then we'll be on our way. But ultimately, the reality has not really set in yet. And this is my opinion now at the 13-minute mark of this video. My opinion is the reality of the situation has not set in. And I'll tell you why. Nancy Pelosi has played her cards wrong. And she was offered a lot of money over several different months by different people during negotiations, and rejected every time that amount, saying that the person was bad or whatever. And ultimately, she's been left with nothing. And that's not the way you negotiate. And I think as the days unfold, the Democrats will continue to start to say, you made a butchery of the situation. Steve Mnuchin offered you $400 a week of FPUC in July, and so people would have gotten upwards of $8,000 to $10,000. It's been 20 weeks since Steve Mnuchin offered $400 a week for FPUC. That's $8,000. She turned that down, so Americans don't have $8,000. And they may never get FPUC retroactive to late July. Yes, they may never get it retroactive to late July, because we're going into December. I mean, does the federal government look back to July? No. So she messed up that. She was offered state and local $300 billion by Steve Mnuchin because of me, because I said, Steve, you're at 200, go to 300 and make it a day. And he did. I was saying it for 2 weeks, go from 200 to 300, and he did. She turned it down. She said, I want 400. Well, I don't think she'll ever get any of that. I don't even think she'll get 1 cent of it from Mitch McConnell. I don't think he's going to even give her $100 billion for state and local. I think that's gone. Next, Steve Mnuchin offered stimulus checks. He offered bigger than $1,200. He was going as high as potentially $2,000 to $3,000 stimulus checks, because we know that because he was at $1,200, and then Mark Meadows said Steve Mnuchin got authorization for the president to go higher, and he did go higher, while Nancy Pelosi kept on going lower and went down to $500 stimulus checks for some people. She rejected that again. Is Mitch McConnell ever going to give you a $2,000 stimulus check? What do you think? So what she has done is she's turned away good offers in hope of getting a perfect offer, and now she's going to get a fraction of what she wanted unless 2 Senate seats are won in January. And if she waits for that in January and she doesn't get those 2 seats, and her party does not get those 2 seats in January, then ultimately she will have dealt even a worse hand, because she would have rejected $500 billion now. She would have rejected $500 billion in October and in August, and now and held to January, hoping she's going to win 2 Georgia Senate seats. And if she doesn't win those 2 Georgia seats, then she's going to have to grovel back and say, I'll take $500 billion, the same amount you offered me 7 months ago. And it's not a good situation for her. But ultimately, what's important to understand is that you're getting a stimulus check under all these proposals. You're getting FPUC, PUA, and UI. Ultimately, the concern is what's going to happen with hazard pay, how big is it, and what's going to happen with FPUC. Is it going to be retroactive? If you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. Also, subscribe to this channel because I'm getting people money around the clock. Also, like this video. Coming up next is Evenings in LA. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay in LA for more.